On commodities market space, top on the agenda is the restriction of dairy products and milk products from the foreign exchange, with only 6 companies permitted to import. Now, there are other burning economic issues, and of course, the commodity in focus today is wheat. Desola Simoni, one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company, will take us through these. He joins us via Skype from Reading. Good morning, Desola. Good to see you this morning. I'm used to seeing you in the afternoon, right?
Good morning, Chimeze. It's good to see you too, and thank you for having me on the show.
All right. Now, from the burning economic issues, the elephant in the room is the CBN's new FX restriction for milk importation. What is your take on this, and what are the implications?
Thank you for that question, Chimeze. I myself I have a lot of questions, and I'll list some of them, but then I'll go to your question. So for me, my first question is, what is the criteria? Like, how did the central bank choose these 6 firms? I mean, in the communique they sent, they said that these firms have keyed into the central bank's backward integration program. But what are the measurable outcomes? I don't know. Maybe the central bank knows, but the public is not aware of them. Two, can the excluded firms, can they do what needs to be done to meet the criteria and then to be included in the FX markets? I don't know. If they can, how long will it take? But those are questions that I'm still looking for answers for. But to your question, Chimeze, it does not come as a surprise that the central bank is doing this. This is part of their modus operandi, restricting FX, for many reasons. But part of the reason they give is to boost local production. And the central bank has actually flirted with the idea. I think mid last year at the MPC in July, the central bank governor mentioned that he just mentioned the idea that we may restrict effects for milk production, for milk importation to boost local production. But let's go down to the key issues. What is the effect? Well, let's break it down into the different categories. What is the effect for the firms that have been included? Well, it is positive for them in that the government policy supports their business, and it's positive sentiment for them. For I think only one of them is listed on the stock exchange, which is Nestle. It is also positive for the stock price. You may see a rally in Nestle stock price because of this. For the excluded firms, I think it's negative because it may increase their cost of production. Now they have to get FX from more expensive areas like the parallel market. So it may increase their cost of production and make them uncompetitive. And I think it's also going to almost change the structure of the dairy business in Nigeria. Currently, there are about, I think, 16 producers. I may be wrong, but there are about 16 producers of milk milk and dairy products in Nigeria. And now that there's this 6 favored cows, 6 sacred cows, it might cause some form of oligopoly. But in terms of production, right? I personally do not think that restricting FX for some firms is magically going to increase Nigeria's production, because there are still other issues that are affecting the production. For one, the cattle in Nigeria are bred mainly for meat and not for milk, and that is part of why Nigeria's milk yield is quite low. I think the average yield for Nigeria's cow is about 1 liter per day, 1 to 2 liters per day, compared that to the average in Kenya, which is about 30 liters, or in Netherlands, which is about 90 liters per day. So there's that. Also, the method of farming is still nomadic system, so except in the longer term where some of these firms begin to now invest in ranches, begin to invest in a new breed of cows that can produce more milk, that's when we may actually begin to see significant increases in production. Now, for the prices, I do not think prices are going to change significantly in the near term. Right? At least for the big firms, are not going to. For the small firms, I think that they may struggle a bit, and some, I'm not trying to be a prophet of here, but some may either consolidate or close down shop if they're not able to improvise.
Now there's restriction on Desola. Now there is restriction on dairy products. Are there possibilities that more products might be in line for forex restrictions?
Uh, First, let me just say this as a joke, but doing business in Nigeria is like an extreme sport. Ask your local entrepreneur; they'll tell you, how you know I mean, just 2 weeks ago, there was this ban on commercial motorcycle riders in Nigeria, which in Lagos, and which has had significant effects. But we're not talking about that now. So already there's that. They're now bringing this form of policy uncertainty, how a change in government policy can just turn $1 million business into into turn $1 million business bankrupt. So there are possibilities that other commodities can be included. I think the broader idea, the more bigger picture, is also the FX. I mean, if you look at the external reserves, Chimeze, since mid last year, the external reserves has been declining
Yeah.
consistently. Currently, it's about $37 billion. So part of the idea of this restricting FX is to reduce the pressure on the external reserves and the currency. Although they wouldn't say that, but that is still part of that is one of the consequences. So I won't be surprised if tomorrow they say we are restricting FX for sugar or palm oil, or even wheat. I won't be surprised because it is part of their MO. So no surprises there. Fingers crossed. Everyone is on edge now.
All right, the commodity in focus is wheat. In light of the backward integration drive of the current administration, what is the situation in the domestic market in terms of the fundamentals?
Okay, currently, I think the United States Department of Agriculture forecast that Nigeria's wheat production for the 2019-2020 marketing year is still stubbornly low at about 60,000 metric tons per annum. Meanwhile, demand is projected to increase 4% to about 5.4 million metric tons. So already you see there's this huge demand supply mismatch, which is filled with imports. And currently, I'm aware that the Central Bank and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is also in talks with the big flour milling companies in Nigeria to begin to also backward integrate. And I'm aware that Flour Mills of Nigeria, which is the largest flour milling company in Nigeria, already has a wheat farm, which they try to what's the word, impute as part of their raw materials. But they also complain that Nigerian wheat is there's some issues with the protein and the moisture and the gluten content of Nigerian wheat. So they still prefer foreign wheat. So that is the situation now. There's a little backward integration, but first of all, the atmosphere, I say the atmosphere, the atmospheric condition is not very, very suitable for growing wheat. That is part of why Nigeria's wheat production is still low. So there's still that mismatch, and the big firms are trying to backward integrate, but it's going at a very, very slow pace.
Nigerians consume a lot of wheat-based products every day. We have bread, cakes, biscuits, pasta, and so on. Now, if due to external imbalances, there is a ban on wheat importation, how will this affect domestic prices?
Okay, so wheat, in contrasting to milk, wheat is more like a staple. Wheat is used to, like you said, bread. All these staples in Nigeria. So I think the effects will be strong. And I mean, it depends on the kind of ban. If it's an outright ban from the FX market for all firms, I think the effect is going to be significant because currently the importation is about, I think the USDA estimates the importation to be about 5.6 million metric tons per annum. So if people now have to pay 360 naira for each dollar to import these, I think costs are going to jump up. And because I would say that because wheat and wheat-based products are kind of like staples in Nigeria, the demand is relatively inelastic. By that I mean that huge changes in price will result in only like small changes in quantity demanded. So in that sense, I think that if there's an outright ban from the FX market or ban from importation, I think the price of wheat and wheat based products would increase, and that would not be good for the average Nigerian, which already spends about, I think, 70% of incomes on food.
Does that mean we will stop eating bread eventually?
Ah, no. Hopefully.
And perhaps the pasta, the noodles, and all of that.
Ah, it's tough. We may find substitutes, or we may have to pay we may have to pay the high price like that, because it is their staples, and the demand, I think, is relatively inelastic.
Okay. Now, let's get back to the burning economic issues. The federal government is looking to issue about $3.3 billion Eurobond. What are the implications for Nigeria, particularly in the fiscal space?
Um, so the President Buhari is going to approach the National Assembly to obtain consent, which I think the National Assembly would grant, and then they will go on a roadshow to try to woo investors. I really think that that would be positive, because if you look at the last Eurobond that Nigeria issued in 2018, I think it was about 2.8 billion US dollars, and it was oversubscribed 5 times, I think. And now there is generally globally the interest rates or yields on governments on securities globally are low or negative. So now Nigeria going to the global space to try to win investors, I think they will get a lot of interest,
All
and
right.
I think that.
Okay, Desola, sorry to cut you there. We just have to end that discussion there. Desola Simoni is one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company. We'll take a break and we'll be back in a moment.